Hi, I'm John, and if you haven't been to a HackOut yet, you don't know what you're missing out on.
Startup Weekend HackOut is the world's first LGBTQIA Startup Weekend event.
My name is Lindsay Nguyen, and I can tell you from personal experience, you should absolutely come to HackOut. You won't be disappointed.
The hardest part of starting up is starting out, and our mission is to inspire entrepreneurs in the LGBTQIA community to learn the ropes of validating an idea for a startup and turn that idea into a full-blown business venture. In just 54 hours, you'll experience the highs, lows, fun, and pressure that make up life at a startup. As you learn how to create a real company, you'll meet the very best mentors, investors, co-founders, and sponsors who are ready to help you get started.
Hello, Robbie.
Hello, Julian. How are you?
I'm good. We finally made it to the week of HackOut.
I'm so excited.
A few months worth of work. We're finally here at the Monday of the week of HackOut. So my name is Julian Bryant. I am a iOS developer. I used to be a lawyer. I taught myself how to program, and I'm an iOS developer based in San Diego. And I've been involved in these types of events for a while and really enjoy being involved in HackOut each year.
And my name is Robbie Catherine Anthony. I participated in HackOut 2019, and I actually work at the company that was pitched at 2019. So it's very fun to be back in this different capacity.
Yes. So what we're going to do today is first I want to run through the really high level schedule for the week, and then we're going to learn more about how to create great pitches. I almost couldn't get that out of my mouth. Make great pitches. So high level schedule for the week. Today is Monday. Later in the week, after this, you'll be submitting your pitches, and what happens after that, Robbie?
Well, then it is Friday. It's the start of history. HackOut goes digital. And Friday is going to be really exciting because there's some social components. Teams will be put together, and all the other mysteries surrounding this event will be made clear for what they are. So lots of hype, and it's going to be worth it.
So the key component of this week is pitches. And we want you to become great at pitching your startup ideas. And to do that, we've got an awesome speaker who's going to get you those skills that you need. So to introduce that speaker, we're going to invite Desmond Thomas up to introduce the speaker for today. Hi, Desmond.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I have a surprise for you. I got one more thing this week.
Oh, your plan's grown.
I know. So exciting. Okay, sorry. For those who don't know me, my name is Desmond. I am the co-lead for HackOut this year. I've been with HackOut for a couple of years now. Super excited to take it into the digital world. So before we get started, I want to say thank you to Taylor, who is the man behind the screen making everything run smoothly. He's our other co-lead. But yeah, super excited.
Boxes move around.
Oh, yeah, exactly. He's moving all of this right now. But yeah, I'm super excited to introduce one of my good friends, Hayley Netherton, who's going to be telling us a little bit about pitching today. Hayley is a second-year MBA candidate, entrepreneurship blogger, a venture capital fellow at Columbia University in New York, and she's also an MBA Associate at Eniac Ventures, where she helps lead seed rounds and bold founders who could use code to create transformational companies. So she's going to tell us a little bit about pitching today. One of the most iconic things that entrepreneurs do, you always hear about elevator pitches, demo day pitches. So she's going to tell you the components of those and how to take those and make a great pitch. So hi, Hayley.
Hey, Desmond. Hey, y'all.
Welcome. How are you?
Thanks. Good. Good. Really excited to be here. I think this is maybe my third time doing this presentation, and it seems to get better every time. So I'm pumped.
Wow. So we're going to get the best version so far. Okay. Well then, hopefully. Okay. I'll let you take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Desmond. Well, welcome y'all to a presentation I like to call Pitch Please. As Desmond mentioned, gotta get on the right screen. My name is Hayley Netherton. A little bit about my background. I have spent the past 3 years working in seed stage venture capital, funding and advising early stage entrepreneurs like yourself. I worked for 2 years at a firm called Capital Factory in Austin, where I got to meet Desmond. And since then, I have moved to New York to get my MBA at Columbia, where I am also working with Eniac Ventures as well. And I've included my contact info up here, and I'll shoot this slide deck out to the HackOut organizers at the end. So don't feel like you have to take notes at every little juncture, if you want to take notes, that is. All right, so getting started, quick overview of what we're going to cover. Kind of 3 main topics. 1, what is a pitch? Generally a good thing to know if you're going to do a pitch, including what type of pitch you need to be focusing on. 2, what are the key things to include in different types of pitches? And the last thing will be some tips on presentation and delivery tactics to be successful. So firstly, what is a pitch? Well, as my next slide, which you prematurely saw, said, there's a couple different types of pitches, and it really depends on what stage the company is in and what format or venue you're pitching in. You do different pitches for investors, maybe at a seed stage, and investors at a Series B stage, and you do different types of pitches for, let's say, investors and customers. But there's 2 main types of pitches that we're going to talk about today. The 2 pitches that are going to be most applicable to you all at HackOut. So the first type is an elevator pitch. So generally speaking, what is an elevator pitch? Well, really, it's one of the shortest pitches you'll ever do. It generally lasts between 10 to 20 seconds. And the whole goal of an elevator pitch is to get more time with the person you're pitching to. AKA, you're not trying to tell them every single detail about the company. You just want them to get them excited enough that they will either give you their contact info or take your contact info so you can set up a next meeting. And the whole premise behind an elevator pitch is pretend you got into an elevator with an important investor or somebody you really want as your customer. And you really only have that 10 to maybe 30 seconds max between when they get in the elevator and when they get off to really sell your idea. What is it that you say? How do you get their contact info? How do you get them excited in that short time span? And there's really only two key elements that you have time to talk to them about in order to do this. So firstly, you have to tell them what it is that you do. And then secondly, why should they or someone care? AKA, that means you really have to highlight the problem that your company is solving, and then 1 or 2 kind of key elements that really make your specific company stand out. The rest, whether that's financials or anything else, doesn't really matter. And apologies, I should have said this in the beginning. So when I'm talking about an elevator pitch, be thinking about, this is a similar pitch to what you'll probably pitch to other team members, what you'll make in that video they talked about earlier, in order to get potential team members to come join your company, to come join your idea. Okay, so getting more into elevator pitches, the first key element, what is it that you do? Well, the easiest way to really explain this simply is to kind of break it up into a really simple fill-in-the-blank sentence. You know, we help blank types of customers solve whatever problem that you're solving, and this is why it benefits them. So a great example is a pitch by a company in Austin called Diligent Robotics. So essentially, they make humanoid robots that can help people do things. And so what their exact pitch is, quote, we create robot assistants that assist people with chores so they can focus on the work that they care most about. Now, of course, there's all these other things that they include. They're in healthcare, they incorporate a really advanced robotics and artificial intelligence. But if you're doing an elevator pitch, you don't have time to get into any of that. You just need to give the exact basics. Okay, so second part of an elevator pitch. Why should someone care? AKA, this is often called the so what question. Okay, cool, you make robots. Why is that important? Why should I want to talk to you further about your robots? And the best way to get people to care is to use certain phrases like this is significant or important because, this is super beneficial because, the reason this is important because, blank, blank, blank. So for example, for Diligent Robotics, one way that they could do that is say, okay, so we make robots that help people save people time so they can focus on the things that benefit them most. So the first robot is called Moxie. In order to get somebody to care about that robot, they need to give them some type of evidence that it matters. So for them, what they would say in this situation is, this is significant because forecasts show there will be 1.1 million needed nursing jobs that are unfilled in the US next year. Moxie can both fulfill those jobs and do it at a lower cost rate for hospitals. Not only does that tell you who should care, but also why it's so significant that they make these robots that could fill in for nurses and hospitals. And so other examples of evidence that you can give during elevator pitches is customer or prospective customer feedback, historical results, or quotes from industry analysts or research statistics. Okay, so that's kind of the basics of elevator pitching. Again, just to hammer it home, keep it short, keep it simple, and really focus on what do you do and why should other people care. Again, your goal is to just get some contact info and get another meeting. Okay, so the second type of pitch is a demo day pitch. This is going to be what you're pitching when towards the end of the program, when you're pitching to judges. And a demo day pitch, kind of depending on the format, is typically about 3 to 6 minutes. You can talk a lot more about the company than you can in an elevator pitch, but the purpose, again, is to give the highlights. Don't get wrapped up in trying to give the whole business plan and really end to justify everything with all of your financials. Again, your goal here is to get people really excited about the company, not to give them every single detail on why this is the next big thing. You don't have time, and if you delve into too much detail, you'll lose people's attention. Okay, so what is the key information that you want to give during a pitch? So there's generally about 8 pieces of info. So firstly, it's problem, market, solution, business model, traction, team, call to action, and closing. And if you're not sure about any of those, that's okay. We're going to go over them in a couple later slides. However, generally speaking, you can only go through all 8 pieces of this key information if you had 10 whole minutes to pitch. Most demo day presentations, again, only really have like 3 to 6 minutes, depending on the format. So really for a demo day presentation, you need to do, firstly, the 4 basics. That's problem, market, solution, and then a killer closing. And then in addition, again, depending on your time frame, I would also throw in 1 or 2 extras. So if you have like killer team, obviously include that. If you have some killer early traction, you have a really great new customer, pull that in as well. But adjust this up and down depending on how much time you have. All right, so now let's go through each of the basics. So firstly, problem. What problem are you solving? And the first question to ask when you're trying to understand what problem is your product solving is, are you solving a problem? And the best way to understand if you're solving a problem is to ask yourself kind of this question. Are you solving a problem or a pain, or are you improving something? And there's an old story in entrepreneurship. I say old, I have no idea how old it is, that many people will use as a metaphor for understanding this. So let's say we meet on the street and you have a headache, and I have 2 pills in my pocket. Why I have pills in my pocket? I don't know, but we won't go there. Let's say I have 2 pills in my pocket and you have a headache. One of the pills is an aspirin, one is a vitamin. Which one are you going to pay money to buy from me? And the whole purpose of that is most people, if they have a headache, they're going to pay for the aspirin first. They're going to pay to solve their immediate problem, their immediate pain, before they buy a vitamin that just generally improves their outlook. Now, that doesn't mean that vitamins don't make money. Obviously, vitamins make a lot of money. But it's important to understand if your product is a problem solver, is an aspirin or a vitamin, in order to pitch it correctly to potential investors and customers. Okay, so what would constitute, going again on the problem piece of key information, what would constitute a pain? So pains are things that cost customers time, and again, customers are people, either consumers or businesses. So it's something that costs them time, something that costs them money. So your product saves them money. In the healthcare industry, could also be something that costs them lives. Maybe that costs lives. Maybe your healthcare product can help save lives. Or in general, it's something that just really pisses people off. You're taking care of a task that maybe, yeah, it's not going to save them much time, and maybe it'll cost them a little bit more money, but they just really hate doing this task, and you're going to take care of that for them. And so people are generally willing to pay for something that is kind of a pain in the butt. So now that we know, okay, if you're solving a problem, how do you talk to a potential investor or customer about that problem? There's a bunch of different tactics and ways to do that, but what I've found in my past talking to entrepreneurs, the entrepreneurs that I generally have second meetings with, that I get really excited about, are the entrepreneurs who tell me about the problem in the form of a story. And that story, the purpose of that story is to make people feel pain. So for example, there's a company I worked with in Houston that makes a software that helps identify sepsis very early in hospital patients. Now, if you don't know what sepsis is, a lot of you probably already tuned out if you haven't already, which is okay. But the entrepreneur didn't hook me by talking about sepsis and talking about, oh, this is a really bad infection, and kind of listing off statistics and getting into the medical aspects of it. Instead, the reason I really listened to him initially when I first met him is he told me a story about he's a doctor, about a patient he lost due to sepsis. And he talked about how when he got there and nobody knew, he got to the hospital room and nobody knew that she had contracted this infection, and she was in her late 20s, and fortunately she passed away because of it. And how, what if we had something that could detect it earlier? His friend wouldn't have died. That immediately caught my attention. I'm sure it caught many of your attention. So if you can make somebody feel the pain that your product is solving, you immediately capture their attention and then can hold that attention to further describe the product. So if you can, now obviously that is a very powerful story, but not everybody necessarily has stories about their product in terms of life and death, I'm assuming. But if you can tell a story about what it's for, or even make a story up, use a metaphor, say, let me tell you about somebody named Joan, or something of that nature. It captures people's attention so much more than simply rattling off statistics about a problem. So again, to explain your problem, the problem that your product is solving, if you can, try to tell a story. Okay, so we've talked about problem. The next thing we need to talk about is solution, the key value, aka what is your key value proposition? Now always remember that your solution is going to be very much tied to the pain that you're solving. So again, pains are time, money, lives, and things that piss people off. AKA, talk about your solution in how are you saving a customer time? How are you saving them money? How are you saving lives? Or how are you eliminating the annoyance? And the reason I bring this up is a lot of early entrepreneurs get focused when they describe a solution, they get really focused on describing the features of a solution. We'll talk about if you had a mobile app, for example, you'll talk about all the different features in an app. You'll talk about this in the app. Instead of you can quantify, hey, this software has the ability to save this amount of lives for a hospital in this time space. This software or this product can save companies 10% off their bottom line every quarter. That's what really gets people's attention. They don't have to know exactly how it works. They need to know what it does, aka how does it solve their pain or problem. So again, focus on your key value proposition. proposition and focus on the benefits of the product, not the individual features. And then the kind of last thing I'll say about talking about a solution, if you can, in a demo day pitch, my recommendation would be do not demo. This may fly in the face of some advice that you get. I'm sure many of you will want to demo. The reason I recommend this is because during a demo day pitch, you usually have about 3 to 6 minutes. And when you're in front of people, if something can go wrong, it will go wrong. I've seen entrepreneurs bring up products and then it just fails, and they've said, oh, we've tried this 200 times, it's never failed. Of course, it's always going to fail when you're in front of a bunch of people. So instead, if you can get maybe a video of it or some still photos, that's a lot better than spending your precious demo day presentation time trying to fix a technology issue or trying to make something work that worked a million times before, and now this one time doesn't work. Because if it doesn't work that one time, it kills your whole pitch. So I would really try not to demo, or if you really want to demo, try to get a video of the product instead of demoing it live. But again, that's my opinion, and I've seen demos work, but I've also seen them crash and burn. So it's definitely a risk that you kind of have to take into account. Okay, so we've talked about problem, we've talked about solution. The third big key piece of information is market. And another way to think about market is how big is your problem? And you can really talk about this pretty quickly. There's only really about 3 things an audience wants to know about your market. Firstly, who is the target market, aka who has the problem that you're solving? Secondly, the market size, which is really how big is this opportunity size? And then thirdly, is the market growing? You really always want to talk about a growing opportunity. Shrinking markets aren't that exciting for investors. Okay, so we talked about problem, solution, market. Now we're going to talk about business model. And business model really is how do you make money? So there's 2 main things in business model that you need to touch on. Is firstly, how do you price your product or service? For example, is this a SaaS product, which is software as a subscription? Are customers paying on a weekly or monthly basis? Or is it more transactional? Is it, are they paying every time they purchase a new product? And then is this, in addition, the second thing you need to talk about with business model is what does a typical transaction look like? So is this more of a $2 transaction from a consumer, or is this a $1 million contract that will take up with a business that will take much longer? Those are both very different types of business models. Okay, so problem, solution, market, business model. Now we're going to talk about traction. So traction, what is traction? Traction basically proves that your story, how awesome you've been talking up your product, proves that your story is true. Now, there's many different types of traction that you can talk about. Now, the best type of traction always is paying customers. Paying customers are absolute best, but there are a number of non-financial metrics that you can talk about too. So I know many of you are pre-revenue, or not most, if not all of you are pre-revenue. And there are a number of pre-revenue traction metrics you can talk about. Firstly, have you had any beta testers? How many people have tested the product? What did they think about it? Do you have any prospective partnerships? That would be LOIs, letters of intent from customers or companies. Do you have any press coverage, any awards, recognitions? Have you been accepted to any incubators or accelerator programs? Or are there any credentialed stakeholders? AKA, if you're starting let's say a new social media network, do you have anybody who used to work at Facebook or Snapchat or any very large social media network? And again, many of you are at the early stages, so it's okay if you don't have these. Just wanted to go over them quickly so you know about them for future pitches as well. Okay, so we talked about problem, solution, market, business model, traction. One of the best things to talk about also is team. So what do you need to include when you're talking about team? a lot of teams, ironically, will simply kind of state people's, these are our names, this is their team, and then skip through it. If you're going to talk about team, really talk about it. Just telling me your name doesn't tell me very much. Tell me why your team is the one to solve this problem. And the way to do that is keep it relevant and keep it short. For example, say we have these 4 team members that are experts in these key areas about this problem, and we have each experienced this problem, et cetera, et cetera. Talk about why I should back you instead of any other product or team that could be solving this problem. All right, call to action. And so if you can, this is another key element that I would squeeze in. And the whole point of this is, why are you giving this presentation? Who do you want to come talk to you after this presentation? Are you looking for investors? Are you looking for potential new team members or potential new customers? Or maybe you're just looking for advisors. So if you can, be specific and tell the audience what you need to get to the next level. Again, employees, customers, partners, investors, especially if you're looking for new employees, tell them where to come find you. Tell them where to contact you at. Don't just kind of, a lot of startups will give a presentation and then just kind of walk off, and nobody knows what exactly they're looking for. If people don't know what you're looking for, they're less likely to come talk to you afterwards. All right, last but not least of the key elements of a presentation is to give a killer close. This is the most important part of any presentation that you do, really ever, but especially when you're demoing a startup, and especially when you are doing a demo day pitch with a lot of other startups. I'm sure, similar to many of you, my attention span is not that long. Most people's aren't. My attention span kind of goes in and out. I really zero in usually on the last thing that people say. So if there is one thing that you want people to remember about your startup, if somebody in the audience gets up and goes to the restroom, they come back in and they only catch the last sentence, what is the one thing you want them to remember about your startup? And generally speaking, that's a one-line summation of your startup. Thank you, I'm Hayley, we are X startup and we do blank. Give one line that people can repeat to others to tell them about your startup. Don't make the mistake that a lot of early startups do and just say thank you and walk off. Give the audience something memorable to remember you by. Okay, so we talked about kind of all the elements of an elevator pitch and a demo day pitch. I know we're kind of running close on time, and I want to give you time for questions. So I'm going to go through this kind of quickly. These are just a couple tips on presentation and delivery. Okay, so presentation, I'm assuming y'all will use a slide deck. Make sure that you are telling your story, not your slides. And I know that's kind of ironic because you're all looking mostly at my slides right now. But in general, when you're pitching your startup, we want to hear from you. Don't read verbatim off your slides. Also, make it, again, I know it's ironic because I am reading off this, but make it legible, make it simple, and then make it obvious for slides. So what does that mean? Legible. Make it big. Legible slides are those that people in the very far back can read. Make sure that, or pretend that your grandfather is sitting in the very back row and he has bad eyesight. Make sure that your slides can be read by him all the way in the back, because you never know which investor may not be able to see it or which potential customer may not be able to see it. So make it very big, very bold, use contrasting colors. Make it simple. This is probably the most common mistake I see with startups and slides. The best way to explain this is an example. All right, so this is a startup that presented at, I believe, Y Combinator demo day a little while ago. The company is called AfroStream, and this was their initial slide. Okay, AfroStream is a subscription video on demand service which provides an unlimited access to African, African American, and Caribbean movies and TV series. We bring a unique focus to content creation, distribution, and engagement for the radically underserved Black and Black-friendly audiences. That's a lot to handle on one slide. If you even had time to read that slide before they move on to the next one, what does that mean? It's a lot of different jargon. Make it as simple as possible. The way I like to do it, I like to pretend I'm explaining something to a fourth grader. If you can't explain it to a fourth grade level, then you're not explaining it simply enough. So in this example, a better way to have said that and to make this slide much more simpler and to the point would be AfroStream. It's Netflix of African and African American content. It takes a couple seconds to read, and the audience gets the point of it immediately. Don't make audiences have to think really hard about what your slide is trying to say. And on that note, make your slides super obvious. Don't make them work for it. So obvious slides are those that can be understood at a glance. So for example, this graph. Okay, so it looks like the company went from 0 to 8,000. What does that mean? 8,000 in revenue? Is that their lunchtime expenses? I don't know what that means. Here, this is much better. Okay, so they're telling me it's monthly revenue, and what is it that they want me to know? They want me to know that it's 50% over revenue growth. They also embolden and enlarge the top line, their ending revenue growth, and the metric that they want you to know out of this graph. Make it super obvious what the point of a slide is. And lastly, last but not least, a couple points on delivery. So firstly, this is what I am most terrible at, especially as a New Yorker. Speak slowly and pause often. I am terrible at it. So I know it's ironic that I'm saying that, but remember that people don't understand your ideas quite as quickly as you do. So if you have, for example, if you have the ability, which you will be, I'm assuming, pitching virtually, so you might write a note to yourself. I have a note to myself on my computer saying to slow down. Believe it or not, this is way slower than I normally talk, and I should probably be talking slower. But slow down as much as you can. It's never as slow as you think it really is. It's never as slow as it sounds to you. And often, as I'm trying to do now, remember to pause often. Especially after key points, let the information sink in. Give the audience a little time to ruminate on what you're saying. And then, as I said earlier, use a fourth grade vocabulary. Be very simple, be as simple as possible. And last but not least, and most important on delivery, get excited about what you're talking about. Audiences feed off your energy. If you're not excited about what they're talking about, they will subconsciously not be excited either. So if you get nothing else out of this presentation, get excited about what you're talking about, and they will be too. And I think with that, that is pretty much everything. And now we can open it up to questions.
Hi, that was so great.
Thanks.
Cool. So it looks like we got one question for you. Should be pretty easy. How advanced should the product be for a demo day? So I guess how secure should they be in whatever they're creating or whatever they're pitching?
Yeah, that's a great question. It depends. Like everything else, it depends on the context. So I think that's another question for the HackOut y'all to answer. Mm-hmm. But it depends. If it's a harder to create product, it's okay if it's not done. I've been pitched products that are still in the idea phase and gotten super excited about them because they talked about the benefits, and we're talking to you because we need this much money in order to build a product because it's really expensive to build. And I've been pitched products that are fully formed, already have customers, and are already making a good amount of money. So it's not so much what phase it's in, it's how do you pitch it and how do you pitch how you're going to build it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think we'll cover kind of more of a HackOut specific answer to that in a little bit. But thank you again for being here. Is there anything that you'd like to plug before we let you go?
Not at the moment, but thank you all for having me. And I'll be sure to shoot this slide deck over to you, Desmond, so everybody can see it. And if anybody has any questions, if you're like me, I think of questions, 20 minutes after presentation. Feel free to shoot me an email or tweet at me or shoot me a DM on Twitter, and I'll get back to you and help you.
Yeah, and you're also going to be a mentor for us on Sunday of HackOut. So if anyone has questions about pitching, that's the prime time to ask. Well, thanks, Hayley. See you later. Cool. I think that I'm going to be passing it to our co-lead, Taylor, to tell us a little bit about the pitching process and how we're going to do team formations. Taylor, you coming?
Hi, Desmond.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. Excited to join you on the stream for the first time. I have a surprise for you. So this little beauty is so much bigger than when we started this whole thing.
No, it's growing. Wow, that really brightened my day. Thank you. Okay, I'll let you take it from here.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. So I'm one of the co-leads for HackOut, and I want to quickly talk to you about what the logistics look like for pitching your ideas at HackOut. So we just had a wonderful presentation from Hayley about how to pitch. Now let's talk about what you're actually going to do to get your pitch heard at HackOut. So to get us started, basically, after this presentation, participants for HackOut will get an email from the organizers that will have an idea pitch submission form. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to go in, you're going to type up a few sentences about your idea, and then you can also optionally add a 1-minute pitch video. And this is optional, but we highly recommend it because there's something very special about just being able to see someone and hear them talk about their idea. You can feel the passion that they have about it. So we highly recommend that you take the time to do a pitch video. And so in that, cover your elevator pitch. Make sure we understand what your idea is about, and then let us know what skill sets you need for the weekend so that other people can be thinking about, hey, I should join that team because they said they need a designer and I've got design skills. So those pitch idea submissions are going to be due on Thursday, September 10th at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, 4 Pacific. All of this will be coming to you in that email. We'll also post in Slack. And if you're wondering, how do I go and record a video? Let's talk about that real fast. So there are lots of different ways that you can record a video. The first and the most simple is grab your phone and just do a selfie video. It's the easiest thing, and it's just sort of the most intimate conversation you can have talking about your idea. And be expressive. Let everyone know how excited you are about your idea because you want them to come and join your team. If you don't have a cell phone or if it doesn't have a working camera, remember you can also use programs like Zoom or Loom, both of which allow you to do single-person video recordings on your device. Both have access for free accounts. Also, if you're on a Mac, you can use the native photo booth app or the QuickTime player to do a video recording. And on Windows, you can use the native camera app. So regardless of how you decide to create a video, whether it's as simple as a selfie video or a super mocked up elevator pitch that you make, whatever it is, we highly recommend you do a video. But remember, it needs to be under 1 minute. So keep it quick, keep it short, and use all of the skills that you just learned from Hayley. So after you record your videos and we have all of those submitted, we're going to put them together into basically a team selection voting form. So after we get all those pitches Thursday evening, you'll receive an email with a pitch choice where you'll go in and you'll choose your top 3 favorite pitches that you would like to join the teams for. Those submissions will be due by Friday, September 11th at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 Central, and 10 Pacific time. I got a mistake there. But remember, as you're choosing teams, you'll be able to watch the videos that everyone has submitted and really think about, what am I passionate about? What unique skills or knowledge or experience that I have can I offer to teams? Think about what skills that you might have. Are you a designer? Are you a developer? Are you a business person? Do you have industry-specific knowledge? And then also remember, you're here to learn. So what can you learn from teams? So think about all of those questions as you're choosing your top 3 teams that you would like to join, and submit those to us by Friday around midday. So that is a quick overview of what this looks like. So Wednesday, Thursday, submit your pitches, and then Thursdays to Friday, submit your team top 3 choices. So that's a quick overview of what this looks like. And now I'll hand it back to Desmond.
Cool. Thanks, Taylor. So I think right now we wanted to do a quick preview of our judges to get people excited about HackOut this year. We've got 3 really wonderful people that we're super excited to have with us. The first is Robin Exton. She is the founder of Her, which is a social app for women of all kinds in the LGBTQ community. We also have William Coombs, who is the head of global design at Visa. Visa is one of our large sponsors for HackOut, and they're the reason that we are here today doing all of this for you. So super excited to have them. And last is Chad Palmatier, who is the co-founder of Lick Ice Cream, one of my favorite places to go in Austin, especially whenever it's 100 degrees outside for 7 days in a row. They've got, they know how to create a product, iterate on that product, and grow and scale across multiple states. So we've got some really great people here who are going to help you form your company and give you some really, really great feedback on your products. And I think that's it for me. I think I'm going to go hang out with my plants and hand it back to Julian and Robbie to kind of close out.
Thank you, Desmond. Yeah, get that quality plant time in.
Thank you. I'm going to go cuddle. See you later.
So they just dropped a ton of knowledge on everybody about all the pitch process and how you're going to submit those pitches and when they're due. But I'm sure you got some questions about the pitches as well. And we're going to handle a couple of those most frequently asked questions right now. But if you still have questions about the pitch process or what you can pitch and can't pitch, please drop them in the comments and we will try and get to them. So, Robbie, what's a question that people commonly have about pitches for these type of events?
Yeah, I guess one that comes up pretty often is, can I pitch multiple ideas? And the recommendation is to pitch just one idea. You know, going back to the idea of what makes you excited, focus on the one that you are most excited about. So try to pick one and stick to that would be the recommendation.
Fair point. Fair point. Good note. And I know that one of the other questions we often get at these type of events is, can I pitch something that I've already been working on? And the shorter to that answer to that is no. But let's talk about why. One of the purposes of HackOut is to give people the experience of what it's like to pitch an idea, to form a team, to see their own opinions about what the product should be, get baked into that product, and learn what it's like to contribute to the development of a new product and service in the world. If you've already pitched an idea, you have to be open to having other people come on as co-founders of that startup and contribute to the development of that product. One thing we're really trying to guard against is people who are pitching ideas and just want to come to HackOut for some free labor for the weekend from other people, and then take off with all those good intentions. So the ideas you pitch at HackOut should be early enough that other people can come in and contribute to that effort. In general, if you already have a product and service out there in the market, not a good idea to pitch it for HackOut. Any other questions? I don't see any questions that we got. Do you? No?
I don't see any either. It might just be time to go hang out with the plant.
I did want to hit back on the question from earlier, which is how advanced that demo had to be. For HackOut in particular, remember you're going to get evaluated on three things. You're going to be evaluated on your execution, what you were able to build that weekend. You're also going to be evaluated on your business model, as well as your customer validation. Did you actually go talk to real people and find out, does anybody want this thing? And all those are equally weighted. So it's important to do as well as you can in all three areas. So you're probably not going to develop a fully functioning product in the course of like 2 days, but make sure you devote time to those other tasks as well, because it's not just about a hackathon building product, it's also about customer validation and building that business model out. Cool.
Yeah. No, it's a great point.
Amen.
Preach.
Cool. Well, yeah. So, Robbie, you want to hit real quick just to remind people what the major points are that are happening this weekend are? This coming up week?
Yeah. So we are almost there, and so we can look forward to starting to see people's pitches come in by Thursday. Friday, the teams are going to be forming. There's going to be some social events. It's going to be a great chance to get to know people, do a skill set inventory, all that fun stuff. Saturday is just working, through and through, burning the midnight oil, if you will. And then Sunday is what we've been talking about, in which you are actually giving the pitch itself. So it may seem like a lot of time, but it's going to fly by really quickly. So it's important to be showing up and be ready and just throw your whole heart at this.
Great. And like I said, Friday night, it's going to be an awesome event. You're going to have an opportunity to do some social events and icebreakers to meet some of the people in the HackOut. It's really important for us to build community, not just the startups. So you'll get a chance to meet some other LGBT entrepreneurs from across the country during Friday. We will announce which teams are going to be going forward for the weekend, and then you all get to work. So it's going to be a big week, right?
Sorry, what was that?
It's going to be a big week, right?
It is. And then there's entertainment too. We've got it all.
That's right. Tell us about the entertainment.
Yeah, so there is going to be there's a musical guest, and then there is a drag troupe, I believe is the terminology there. So really just kind of this diaspora of different content should really round things out. And we're going to work real hard, but we're also going to be able to enjoy and kick back as a community. So.
All right, well, I hope you all learned a bunch today. It's been a pleasure being with you, and we will see you later this week.
See y'all later.